If you like to keep the thoughts away, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And if you already are subscribed, make sure you hit the little alert icon to make sure that you're alerted when I drop more anti-thought knowledge on you guys. So, there's been a lot of questions coming in about how do I have my particular Glock 19 set up. So, unbeknownst to a lot of you, I have quite a few different Glock 19s. The one that I get asked the question about the most is the Glock 19 MOS model, which is Glock's entry into the ability to mount optics onto handguns. So, what Glock ended up doing was they had a slot milled out to where you can mount optics, some type of micro optic directly to the slide. And they gave you adapter plates, that way you could mount a variety of different optics, and as new optics come out, they'll release more adapter plates, that way it's kind of future-proofed itself. So it is definitely a good idea in concept, but there are definitely a couple problems with the Glock 19 or just any Glock MOS model. So I'm going to go ahead and go over them. I don't know if I'm the guy who's shot the most out of the Glock MOS models. I'm sure there are people who have shot more rounds. But to date, I think I put, I want to say around 12,000 rounds through the MOS model. And the biggest problem that I have with the MOS model is that for the RMR specifically, which is what I typically use on my MOS, there isn't enough bite for the screws to get into. And because of that, I need to retighten those screws about every 500 to 600 rounds. And that's even after blue Loctiting the screws at where those threads interface. So it's not a problem as far as installation, but rather design. Because that adapter plate is thin and there's so much material already milled out, there's not a whole lot of space that the MOS has for those threads to bite into, especially on the RMR. Because of that, it's going to continually loosen up with usage. Now, how big of a problem is that? I mean, honestly, it's not that big of a problem. I do routine maintenance on the MOS model to ensure that my optic is going to be tight. I've concealed carried it. I trust it. Just be aware that that is going to be a problem as far as that optic loosening up over time. And if that is a concern, you might want to take a look at a couple different types of Glock slide manufacturers that allow you to mount optics. So one of them that comes straight to mind is the Unity Tactical Slide. So one of the big things I've heard against the Glock MOS models is that the optic rides too high, and because of that you need to get really tall suppressor height sights. Now in this case I have the extra tall suppressor height sights from Ameriglo in order to witness through the RMR right here. I don't think it's a problem personally. From what I've seen from my buddy's Unity Tactical, the optic on that weapon is mounted just as high. But the difference between the Unity Tactical and this one is that it is a much more solid mounting option, and I would not be hesitant at all to carry that or use that in the line of duty. So that is one option that's a lot better. Another option you have is just to get a plain Jane 19 and have one of the many companies out there do a milling job and mill out a pocket for your RMR to fit into. Typically, because there's a little bit more grab for that thread, those work a lot better depending on the company. Make sure you go with a reputable company. That way you're not going to have any problems. So as far as mounting the optics to your weapon, those are a couple of the options that you have. Besides that, the Glock MOS models function fine, just like a normal Glock. You won't have any reliability issues or anything of that nature. Just be aware that you definitely will have problems with that optic staying in place with an RMR if you're shooting more than a couple thousand rounds every couple months, something like that. And again, what does it come down to? It really comes down to how many rounds are you firing through your weapon, per month, per year, that type of thing. I'm putting around 26, 27, 28,000 rounds per year, something like that. So my firing schedule is pretty harsh on my weapons. And because of that, I was able to see that deficiency in the MOS model that much sooner. Now, that being said, depending on how much you shoot, it might not be a problem. So because of that, the MOS might be attractive, because that being said, it is going to be a much less expensive option than a lot of other optic mounting solutions that you have out there. For example, the Unity Tactical Slide, the slide alone is costing around $500. With the adapter plate, you're looking at about another, I think, $60 or $50 or so. So that's getting expensive. And if you were to get a regular Glock to go get that milled out for an RMR, you're looking, depending on the company and how good they are, that type of thing, you're looking at around $100, $200, maybe $300. So I can understand why the MOS is a really attractive option, and it definitely have its merits. Just be aware of the problems that you might run into regarding mounting an optic to a Glock MOS model. So I hope this was helpful to those of you who've been asking questions about the Glock MOS. It is a good system. It is future-proof because you can use different adapter plates. I just don't think it's the best design, but nonetheless, I continue to use it because it does allow me to easily switch out optics. No matter what, guys, the Glock MOS is going to work as a good thought vaccine. So have no fear using the Glock MOS model. Just keep up that maintenance cycle and you'll have no problems. Guys, thank you for watching. No matter what, the only reason we put optics on our weapons is because it looks cool. So remember, if it doesn't look cool, there is no point to it.